Hi, welcome back to Align with Ali. I'd like to bring you through a pelvic floor release stretch. Just you, your mat, your mind, your body. So we're going to start laying down on our backs. Make sure you're in a comfortable environment, an environment that you feel safe in, an environment that makes you feel calm. Maybe you have essential oils on around you, or your favorite candle. Maybe you have a favorite mat, material, blanket, anything that brings you comfort, you can bring into this stretch session. And whenever you're ready, you're gonna lay down on your back. And in this position, we're just gonna start with some pelvic floor breathing. So if you'd like to be in a butterfly, you can be in a butterfly. If you'd like to have your legs long, that's fine too. You can add a cushion behind your head as well. Hands can be wherever. And you're just gonna take a really deep inhale through your nose with me to start things off. And a big exhale through your mouth. As you're breathing, I want you to unclench your jaw. I want you to unclench your glutes, your inner thighs. Continuing to inhale through your nose and exhale your mouth. Allow yourself to do a body scan from head to toe. Again, unclenching the jaw, dropping the shoulders away from the ears. That means switching positions. You can do that too. Now with every inhale, I want you to imagine like your pelvic floor is lengthening, almost as if a flower is blossoming. And then as you exhale, it's just going to come back to neutral, back to your resting position. As you take a deep inhale, ribs expand, pelvic floor releases, and then exhale, back to resting position. I'm going to continue to give you a few more cues to help with that pelvic floor release. If you imagine your pelvic floor like a jellyfish, you've probably all heard this one before. Imagine like your pelvic floor is that jellyfish swimming away, creating length in the ocean. Good. Again, think of your pelvic floor as a flower. As you inhale and pelvic floor expands, that flower is your pelvic floor. It opens, it blossoms towards your feet. And then you exhale, let everything come back to resting position. Try not to clench or squeeze your pelvic floor. Good, you inhale, ribs expand. Pelvic floor releases. And then you exhale, back to resting position. Now throughout this class, try your best to think about that pelvic floor breath. Otherwise, just breathe as normal as we go through some stretches that will also help to release pelvic floor. You're gonna bring your knees back to a bend. Hands are gonna come to a T. You're gonna start to sway those hips side to side, keeping your shoulder blades heavy on the mat, but allowing your hip to lift. You sway knees to the left. They come through center and you sweep them to the right. You can do this with feet together or feet wide. You can also choose a mix of both. When you're ready, as your knees go to one direction, can you look to the other? So my knees go right, I look left. And then knees come through center, they go to left, I look right. Getting the whole spine involved here. That rotation in the spine is really important for diaphragm mobility, which is important for breathing, which is important for pelvic floor. Everything is always tied together. Good, one more each side. Keeping your breathing as normal. Knees come back to center, gaze comes back to center. You're gonna take your right knee and bring it into your chest. You're gonna lengthen that right leg. Sorry, your left leg. You're gonna hold that right leg into your chest. You're gonna take a few deep breaths here, including that pelvic floor breath. Good, inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. For each movement, try for 5 deep breaths, including that pelvic floor breath. Trying to imagine the flower blossoming. Now from here, you're gonna grab a hold of that knee. It's gonna come into your armpit. So I'm holding my right knee, it comes into my right armpit. I'm taking my left hand to the right foot and I'm rotating it in. And I'm kind of beginning to twist my hip a little bit while keeping my knee up towards my armpit. We're stretching a deep muscle in our pelvic floor called your obturator internus. And you're gonna give me 5 pelvic floor breaths here. Good. From here, we hug that knee back into the chest. We bring our left leg to meet it, so double knee squeeze. We're gonna bring that right leg down. You can help it down with your right hand and lengthen it long. Just holding in that left knee to your chest now for 5 breaths. Again, if you feel like your jaws begin to clench, or your bum or your inner thighs, just kind of release everything, shake it out. Continue with your breath when you're ready. Good. After this last breath, you're gonna take that knee, you're gonna bring it into your armpit, you're gonna hold it there. Rotating the hip a little bit, you're gonna rotate that foot in towards center. And you're gonna give me 5 breaths here. Thinking about that jellyfish or that flower. Sometimes I also tell clients, imagine like you're gently laying an egg. And that one works for some reason, but everybody's different. Good, you're gonna bring both knees to meet back into the center. Give me 2 deep breaths here. And then you're gonna bring your feet up. We're gonna come into a happy baby. So hands reach for the arches. If this is too much for your back or your hips, you can bring one leg down and come into a single leg happy baby. If your knee won't bend the way mine is, you can always decrease the bend in your knee. You may sit here and lay here, or you can rock side to side. But again, you're giving me that pelvic floor breath. Of all the lengthening and all the space you're creating in that pelvic floor. Also drawing your mind to a really good place. With every inhale, you're inhaling positive energy, positive thoughts. Good. From here, your feet can meet the mat. You're going to take your right ankle, place it over the left knee. If this is enough, you may stay here. If you want to come into that figure 4, you can. This is also a nice opportunity to mobilize those hamstrings. So sometimes I'll just add in a dynamic hamstring stretch with the opposite leg. Good. Again, coming into that pelvic floor breath. You're gently laying an egg, like a flower's blossoming, like a jellyfish is swimming away. Feeling that stretch all through that bent knee and the hip area specifically. Good, and then you are going to bring that left leg down and we're gonna switch sides. Again, I like to add in that dynamic hamstring stretch. Moving at a comfortable pace. If you ever notice yourself, you stop breathing, just come back to it. Remember, breathing through the belly, through the ribs, not through the neck and the shoulders. This takes practice if you're not used to breathing this way. It's harder than most people think. Good, bringing that leg down, both feet flat. We're gonna rotate onto our side. I'm rotating onto my right side first. Hands are gonna come out like this. Now, if you have shoulder issues, you may bend your top elbow and keep your arm close to your body. Otherwise, if you can, you're almost in like a fetal position. Knees are squeezing together. You may grab a block or something to squeeze here. Your eyes stay on that top hand. You open and rotate. Keep your knees squeezing. Can you get your shoulder blades flat? Can you keep your eyes on your hand so your shoulder doesn't overextend? Good. We'll do 3 to 5 here, whatever feels good for you. Again, working into that rotation, mobilizing the spine, the diaphragm. That rib expansion is so important for our breath. The reason why I always keep coming back to unclenching your jaw is because there is a correlation between pelvic floor tightness and jaw clenching. And if you try it, maybe not right now while we're doing this, but if you clench your jaw, you will in fact feel your pelvic floor tighten. And so much of us experience stress on a daily basis, and our go-to is clenching that jaw, but then it means we're also, again, clenching our pelvic floor. Awesome job. From here, we're gonna come onto all fours. We are gonna begin with a cat-cow, so hands and knees position. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. You're gonna press and around your spine, tuck your tailbone, inhale, and then exhale. Good, you're gonna give me an inhale as you extend here, and then you're gonna exhale as you round your back. Good. Inhaling as we let pelvic floor stretch here. Again, think about lengthening pelvic floor. Good. Exhale around. Inhale, arch. Now, if you have back pain, you're just going to go into a range of motion that feels good for you. Don't force anything. You can still get a really good stretch and really good mobility through your back and your pelvic floor, even if you're not going to extreme ranges. Good, you're coming back to center. We're gonna come into a tail wag, so you're gonna imagine like you have a giant dinosaur tail. Feet can be down or up, depending what feels better for you. And you're gonna look over to one side, side bend, and then to the other. Good, we're just gonna do a couple per side here. Good, back to center. You're gonna take your right leg forward into a pigeon. Again, really getting a stretch in those hip rotators. If you're comfy here with your hands planted, that's fine. Otherwise, you can come down a bit lower and come into that pelvic floor breath. So inhaling, feeling pelvic floor expand, feeling it lengthen. Really just visualize your pelvic floor. Think about space, expansion, release. You're gonna be here for about 5 breaths. With every inhale, you're filling your belly, you're expanding the ribs from fronts and sides to backs of the ribs, mobilizing the ribs in all directions. Good. From here, hands are planted. Tuck the left toes. You're going to come into a downward dog. We're going to pedal those feet, getting a stretch through the calves. Or you can hold both down. And then you're gonna take your left leg into that pigeon. Again, you can have palms down or you can come onto your forearms. And you're giving me 5 deep pelvic floor breaths. Inhaling, release pelvic floor. Exhaling back to neutral. A few more breaths here. Awesome. You're going to come back into that downward dog. You're pedaling those feet. And then you're dropping those knees down. We're coming into our final position, which is a child's pose. If you need a pillow, you may grab one for under the chest. You're going as wide as your knees will allow you and as far as you feel comfortable. Reaching those arms long, stretching through the shoulders, maybe feeling this through the ribs as well. And again, your final pelvic floor breaths here. Take that deep inhale through the nose, pelvic floor lengthens toward your feet. Exhale back to resting position. Now, if you've been told that you can engage in Kegels and your pelvic floor isn't just tight, you may add that Kegel in if you have been instructed to. Otherwise, continue to exhale to resting position. Can you give me 3 deep breaths here? Last 2. And last one. Awesome job. You can come on up. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you feel relaxed after that. I hope your pelvic floor feels released. And I hope that this is something you can come back to and continue to practice if you are experiencing a tight pelvic floor. And I hope that you like this video, share, subscribe, and comment what you'd like to see more of. I will be hopefully posting a pelvic floor strengthening video soon for those of you that need to work on strength as opposed to releasing pelvic floor. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.